Hey everyone, Dan McKenzie here with the McKenzie Law Firm. We are an estate planning, estate administration, and small business law firm in the Denver, Colorado area. And thought I'd make a video today answering the question that we get a lot. When people come to us for estate planning, they're usually focused on a couple of things. One of those is who's getting my stuff if I pass away. That's usually a primary area of focus. And then how am I getting stuff to kids? And thought I'd kind of focus on that second point in this video. And a lot of times people want to leave stuff to kids in trust. There are a number of circumstances where that's almost required. Obviously, if we're leaving stuff to little kids or kids who haven't gotten to adulthood yet, you really can't leave money directly to kids who are under the age of 21 in Colorado. There's got to be an adult appointed to handle that money for them. And that's a trust. If you don't set up a trust and money somehow is going to people under that age, a court will appoint a conservator for them. So you would much rather set up a trust and set the terms and identify the person who's going to do that, handle that responsibility for your kids. Obviously, even with adult kids, anybody who has spending issues, substance abuse problems, a marriage that seems maybe like it's headed for an end, any situation where a kid just has some risk of people coming after them for money. And frankly, that all of us have that risk. All of us can, get in a situation where we could be the targets of a lawsuit at any point. So sometimes, even with very responsible kids who are well into adulthood, have good careers, are financially stable, we still set up trusts. So at any rate, as far as structuring a trust goes, a question that we get a lot is it supposed to be one trust for all my kids, or is it supposed to be a separate trust for each kid? And that usually depends on the age of the kids, actually. When we're dealing with people who have little kids, and again, that could be kids as old as high school, frankly, we usually recommend the first option. We usually recommend setting up one trust for all the kids. And the reason for that is you want your trustee to be able to handle things for your kids just like you probably do. Usually when people have kids who are still in grade school or high school, they're not keeping track of which kid is costing the most money. They're not running spreadsheets and trying to equalize. As kids need things, they just pay for them. So I have 4 kids myself. They all have very different interests. Some of those interests are more expensive than others. They have different medical bills. They have different needs for school or for support, or they eat different amounts of food. I am not keeping track of any of that, of course. I'm just paying for things. When a bill arrives, I pay it, and I'm not really keeping track. And I think that's how most people are. So setting up one trust for all your kids gives your trustee the ability to replicate that. And when we set up that kind of trust, you might see the term common trust, or you might see the term pot trust. Those are both terms for this kind of trust. And when we set those up, we specifically tell the trustees in our documents, your goal at this point is not to equalize. It's just to get the kids through childhood and into adulthood. When kids reach adulthood, that usually does change, actually. So you kind of get, one of the benefits of setting up a trust is you get to define what adulthood means. And our kind of default definition is either your youngest kid has reached 25 or has graduated from college. That's the point where we feel like, okay, now the kids are fully into adulthood. They're doing different things. They might be doing things that are very expensive, and you really do, like if you're going to do something to help a kid out who's in adulthood, you might say, look, I'll do this. I got to do the same thing for your siblings, or there is going to be an accommodation for this in my will or my trust or whatever else. Like, this is coming out of your part of my estate, because again, those things can become very expensive, right? If you've got a kid who's going to go to graduate school, start a business, get married, even buy a house, like all those things, usually people are feeling like, yeah, okay, got to do the same thing for everyone else. So what we will typically say is once they have reached adulthood, then we do split it into separate trusts. And if one of the kids wants to do one of those things and use their trust for that purpose, and the trustee agrees and it fits in with your instructions, and they spend their money and they run out of money from their section of the whole thing before their siblings do, that's adulthood, right? That's how that works. You used your trust funds on that house, or you use your trust funds to go to that graduate school or start that business or whatever else. Your siblings have not, and they still have money, and that is how it works. So usually when we're talking about adult kids, we are talking now about separate trusts that could have different outcomes. When they're little kids, we really don't want that. And the other thing about the common trust I didn't mention is it also just gives your trustee the ability to make sure that your youngest kid gets the same benefits and money for the same purposes as the older kids. So again, my kids span quite a wide spectrum. My oldest kid, as I'm making this video, is 19 years old. My youngest kid is 9, right? So right now the oldest kid is in college and think we are spending money on that. We want to make sure we don't spend all our money getting him through college, and then his younger brother comes up and we have to tell him, like, oh, sorry, we know your older brother did receive money and his college was paid for. We still on him, and we don't have enough money to do that for you. So again, that's another instruction of the trustee. Just make sure we're not blowing all the funds on the oldest kid, and the youngest kid doesn't get the same advantages. So these are pretty sophisticated concepts and hard to build into a will if you haven't been trained on how to do this and all that. It's not usually what we see. We don't usually see this level of nuance in like simpler online packages and stuff like that. So if you want to have this discussion with us, we'd be happy to do it. Again, we're in Colorado. Our phone number is 303-578-2745, and our website is themackenziefirm.com. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful.